Hi guys, so today I am driving the Jaguar E-Pace, and as an introduction, this is Jaguar's entry in the BMW X1, Volvo XC40, Audi Q3, compact premium crossover segment. Except that people who are buying X1s and XC40s are unlikely to cross-shop with this, simply because the price of one of these 400,000 ringgit, and for that money what you get is a 200 horsepower engine. So yeah. So it's 2,000 ringgit per horsepower, and definitely right off the bat it's really not a value purchase, even though at first glance you may hear, hey, 400,000 ringgit for a Jaguar is all right, but 400,000 ringgit for 200 horsepower, not a very convincing case on paper, to be frank. All right, I mean, not when a Volvo XC40 gives you 50 horses more straight off the bat. So the question now is, how does the E-Pace here justify the inflated price tag? So to be sure, there are some good points to this car, and let's start with the engine. So even though 200 horsepower does not sound like much on paper, but let me assure you, this engine in the context of your day-to-day driving is more than fast enough. It has a strong mid-range, all right, and the response is rather eager. So on hard throttle, you want to really gun it, there is that inevitable dose of lag, all right, as you would expect. But once the engine comes on song, especially in the 3,000 to 4,000 RPM range, that is when, it really pulls. And the other appealing aspect about this engine is that it revs with a feeling of enthusiasm. It is one of those engines that encourages you to work it. It feels like it relishes the task. And that's you can't say the same for a lot of engines these days. It's like there are a lot of engines these days, right, in this, the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo format that is fast enough, that has plenty of grunt, but you don't feel that joy when you rev it. This one, at least it delivers on that count. This engine has some personality to it that you don't mind working it. In fact, no, you enjoy working this engine out. So although on paper this is a Jaguar that has less horsepower than a Volvo XC40, less horsepower than a Ford S-Max, less horsepower than a Volkswagen Tiguan, but it excels in terms of its character, its behavior, and the delivery of its performance, which strangely it didn't feel this way when we drove the Land Rover Discovery Sport a few weeks ago. Overall, I have to say that the engine and transmission pairing feels a lot better calibrated here in the E-Pace than it did in the Land Rover. Now, next then comes the handling. This test car that we are trying here, this is covered in Pirelli P0 tires, and the grip levels available, it's not hard on, rock solid, but what it manages to do, and I have to say that it really impresses me, is even as you gun this thing around the corner, even as you hear the tires screeching away for dear life, that chassis is still able to transmit an assuring amount of feedback. It's like it's whispering in your ears, telling you, bro, go for it, gun it. I'm still on top of this. I've got your back. I can handle this. All right. That feeling is something that you have to experience in order to believe, and it's comforting. It's touching to know that this day and age you can buy an SUV, all right, that feels this rich in its feedback. But what about the ride quality then? This is where it's a bit of a hit and miss. There were some bumps that I went over, caused a bit of a ruckus from the front suspension. To be honest, it feels as if the front suspension didn't know what to do, and the whole car just went gadung when we went over the bumps. Well, certainly it isn't anywhere near as plush as, say, the Peugeot 5008 that I reviewed earlier, but that's acceptable. What I think could be improved upon really is that there needs to be a sense of assuring solidness in the car, that as you go up over poor surfaces, that is conspicuously missing in the E-Pace here. So that is one area that can be improved. And the other area that can be improved is noise levels. So I would say road noise is well suppressed, but what surprised me is that at highway speeds there was a fair degree of wind noise, so much so that I was quickly reaching for the power window switch to check that whether I have all four of my windows, you know, up. And also a few occasions when noisy motorcycles were going past me, I was able to hear the sound of the motorcycle's engine fairly vividly. But how's the driving experience overall, to sum up in a nutshell? Well, I would say that for town driving, the E-Pace here certainly is a rather exciting car to go, like exciting point-to-point car, because see, as you navigate urban traffic, you know, going from junction to junction, it has that explosive power delivery that, you know, that allows you to rapidly cover that short distance between this junction and the next traffic light. Okay, and it's the kind of car that you really want by your side if you are, say, you've got your wife is rushing to give birth, right? This is perhaps the car that you want to send her to the hospital. She may not be so keen on some of the jerkiness though. Okay, but you get the picture, right? This is a car that would rapidly, you know, it's a rapid point-to-point car. But is this car, say, good for a long-distance driving? That is where you may want to look at the F-Pace instead, which is a higher segment product, all right, that is tuned for more, you know, long-distance grand touring capability. All right, long distance cruising ability, which this car, obviously, it can do it, but not as effectively. Hi guys, so here we are in the compound of our clubhouse, Sunway Traction Karting, and here we are, the E-Pace. So earlier today when I picked up this car from Jaguar Land Rover's showroom in Ara Damansara, I was at the showroom checking out a display unit that was parked next to the F-Pace, and at a glance, right, you can see a great amount of visual similarities between the two cars that unless you are a car enthusiast, unless you are maybe even a Jaguar brand fanatic, you may not be able to instantly differentiate between the E-Pace and the F-Pace, even though they occupy different market segments. The E-Pace, in terms of body sizing, is at the segment of the X1, at the segment of the Volvo XC40, whereas the F-Pace is BMW X3, Porsche Macan, Audi Q5, Mercedes GLC, that level. Okay, but when I saw this, the E-Pace next to the F-Pace, one of the things that I noticed was that, you know, they are both quite similar in terms of their presence. So you will have to take a close look, and before you can immediately tell, all right, that this is the E-Pace and the other one is the F-Pace. But one visual clue that may help you identify that this is the lower segment car would be here. All right, this length, this short length between the wheel arch and the front door, because that's what tells you that this is a transverse engine vehicle. Okay, so usually when the vehicles with transverse engines, this length here tends to be shorter. All right, the F-Pace, being a higher segment car, it has a longitudinal engine configuration, even though it shares the same engine. But the F-Pace engine is aligned transversely. The E-Pace's engine is aligned transversely. The F-Pace engine sits longitudinally, and as a result, it would, in order to accommodate that, they have to stretch this. They have to move the front doors further back away from the wheel arch to give them more room to sit the engine in there, and also to allow them to give them space in case if they need to accommodate, you know, larger 6-cylinder or V8 engines in higher models. Okay, so that's the only little clue that, you know, once you look at this car, say, hey, okay, this is not that high a segment car. This is a transverse engine car. It's probably X1 or at most a Lexus RX competitor. But this is really more an NX competitor lah. Okay, but in terms of its profile, this car's profile, one thing that's obvious about this car's profile is it has a fast back profile, so it's very sleek, very sporty. Okay, and JLR can do that, because if you want a more practical, a more straight up serious SUV, there are always the Land Rover products. When you slap a Jaguar badge in there, there's always the expectation that it needs to be sportier, it needs to be sleek, you know, it needs to be beautiful. And design-wise, I have to say, this is a very, very handsome looking car. Now you come to the back, right, and this is something that Abang Hisham of Roda Pusing pointed out to me earlier when I was here chit-chatting with him. You notice that at the rear, okay, the rear wheels, all right, is located almost entirely outboard of the cabin. Okay, so this is the inner edge of the rear view, and as we go up, you see it's almost outside the cabin. And what this gives you in terms of a visual, from a visual standpoint, what it feels like is that this is a small car, all right, that is planted on a big footprint, and they stretch the metalwork so that it fits over the wheels. Okay, and that gives it the impression that this car, all right, this is something that packs more power than its dimensions would suggest. But then again, honestly speaking, by today's standard, this car's power outputs is nothing to shout about, because the 2-liter Ingenium engine that sits up front produces 200 horsepower. So on paper, this is a Jaguar that on the highways may probably have to give way to a Volvo XC40 or a 7-year-old F30 328i. But that being said, there's one thing that the Volvo or the old BMW can't give versus this one is that this would definitely turn more heads. People see that Jaguar badge in front or at the back, they know that you have spent top dollar on this car. They know that you have made it in life. Okay, so you can see here, this is the front end, and this car has been optioned with what they call the black pack trim. So the grille, the front grille, the door, the window lines, all these trims all have been darkened out, where in some cases there would have been some chrome finish. All the chrome has been deleted and would have been replaced with a gloss black trim. So at the back here, this has the same narrow tail lights as the F-Pace, but the one differentiating feature of the F-Pace is that the F-Pace has a teardrop feature at the lower edge of the tail light. This one does not. It's straight through. Okay, and Jaguar's obviously opted for a very simple badging system, 200, to denote that this is a 200 horsepower car. All right, so under here, this is the lower diffuser treatment. All right, and we shall open the boot. So you've got power tailgate, and you've got a reverse camera inside here. This is the boot space, not very big to be frank, but good enough for your groceries, maybe for a couple of suitcases. But if your suitcase is very large, then only one suitcase. You've got a netted compartment here as well. This is a strap for you to hold bottles. Okay, there's a hook here, 12-volt socket. The luggage compartment light, there are two. Okay, and they are both well placed. Okay, why so? Because one, it's angled away. So let's say that when you open the luggage compartment in a super dark area, right, there is no way that these lights, either of these luggage lights, will glare you. Okay, and I can speak of this from experience, because in my S-Max, the luggage compartment light is here. When I open it in the dark, the light glares at me. I end up can't seeing anything anyways. Okay, so this is clever, and it's placed, because it's placed high up, so you can load the luggage compartment to luggage as high as maybe up to here, and it still does not obscure the lighting, so that's good. And here you can see here there's a hook here, and there is a 12-volt socket. So the seats there offer 60/40 split folding, but there's no remote release. You still have to come here and press this to release. All right, bring this down. Now, in terms of load available space, it's not that big, but what I do like is they made the effort to create a seamless transition. So it's not flat, but it's seamless, so things you won't have things rocking about as you travel. Okay, of course, I think the angle is unavoidable, because they want to maintain the plushness of the seats. They want to maintain the thigh support and the angle. So as a result, there is a compromise to be made. They can't give you the fully flat loading floor. Okay guys, we've got a guest host today, Abang Hisham, Roda Pusing.
Yeah, I've been given the task of testing the rear seat.
Hey, so, you how tall bro?
I'm 168 or 5'6".
So yeah, so you've got good headroom
According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, I am almost exactly average height.
Average height
is 5 foot 5.5 inch.
Okay.
Yeah, so average height.
Yeah.
This one okay, tapi slightly taller people sure okay lah.
Okay lah. Hey, you are 168. I can see you've got about what 6. I mean.
Okay lah.
Hey, a fist of headroom.
Tapi ni.
Thigh support macam mana?
Thigh support no good, because somehow the floor slopes upwards.
Yes.
There seems to be a cross brace member of the chassis running across.
Yeah.
And the center tunnel is also quite high.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't really put your feet underneath the front seat too
Tapi
much.
lean angle macam mana?
Lean angle is fine. I don't know whether they have multiple. No.
Tak ada lean adjust
They don't have lean adjust. It's okay. I'm quite.
So if I were to drive you from KL to Penang in this position, you'll be okay?
Back yes, but feet will be tiring, because really I got no much place to put my feet. I can't adjust around, and it's just hanging like that. So it's not for long distances. Maybe for kids, okay lah.
Okay.
The rest is fine.
Yep.
I think
And sini ada
unless you do like this lah, the typical malas style. So if you're not too tall and the front driver is not too tall, you can do a malas thing like this. I think this will be the pose of choice lah.
Sini ada compartment kat sini?
Yes. I think it's got a tiny compartment. Yeah. Very shallow.
Yeah. Not rubberized,
Yeah.
I would expect I would expect a car this segment to have all these part compartments rubberized.
Yeah.
Alright.
And oddly, it has a 12-volt socket and not a USB.
Okay lah, tu can put adapter.
Understand.
Yeah.
These days, even the lesser priced cars have USBs.
So here there's a this one is rubberized. So here you can select your telephone in there.
Yeah, your phone here. But it's an awkward shape though, because if you put like this, yeah, so it's not.
So this hard plastic, surprisingly, they didn't put any like plush materials here.
And you don't have any controls for the
no rear zone controls. That's another surprise. And here, this one, the middle passenger, if you should put a middle passenger, the 3-point belt here comes out from the top of the seat, so you don't have an awkward mounting point that have to come down here.
But look, no grab handles.
No grab handles.
Yeah, it's odd, right?
That's very odd.
And then there's a delete cover here. They deleted an option.
Yeah.
This could have been, I don't know, what was this supposed to be?
I don't know. When I first saw that, I thought it's something that maybe you can hook something on in there.
Yeah. And I don't know how to close this one. Maybe if I shut the door, I'm able to. No, it doesn't work somehow.
No, I think it's open from the. It's on switch operated from the front.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, that's it. And not impressed. Front seat's a different story.
Okay, thank you, Abang Isham. Thank you. Okay, so inside here, the cabin, nicely designed. The overall design is nice. It's very beautiful. All right. Nice. It's an attractive dashboard to look at, but the color selection in our test car here doesn't really do it justice. And I highly encourage it if you have the option. Go for something with a contrast color scheme that would better bring out the design of this cabin. Okay, this handle here is a particularly nice touch, and what you have here is that there's the electronic shifter of the ZF 9-speed automatic transmission. Okay, so one thing about this automatic transmission, well, the operating principle is pretty much the same. If you have come from any of the BMW ZF automatic transmission, the logic's the same. Press this button to park. All right, press the button here, push forward twice to 2 clicks to reverse, pull back 2 clicks to D, push or pull 1 click to neutral, push one side to go to sport. Now the only thing is, in BMW applications of this electronic shifter, right? Let's say right now you're in reverse. You want to go to drive, all you have to do is just go 2 clicks and you're good to go. All right, it's just like how all the mechanical shifters work. Here in the Jaguar, however, regardless, you have to press the button, and I think it's although it's something it's a matter of getting used to. But if you've come from another automatic car, there may be that bit of a adjustment phase, right? Because in a mechanical shifter, going from reverse to drive, you don't have to press that lock button, and most of us, we don't have that habit already. So you may have to recalibrate some of your gear operating habits in that sense. This material here, it's solid, but really in a 400k car, I expect something nicer. Could be carbon fiber, could be wood, something that does not tell me does not suggest to me that this is a base model car. Okay, the controls here, these are obviously shared stuff across with Land Rover. Not a problem, it's nice. Okay, and the aircon controls, okay, temperature, fan speed. All right, press this to on and off, and yeah, so the tactile feel of the control knob here is nice. Certainly the overall quality of this cabin is much better than Jaguar models of 5 years ago, but still there is room for improvement. Say the signal stop, for example. All right, the tactile feel of the signal stop feels much more solid than 5 years ago when I tested the F-Type, but still not there with the Germans, I have to say. And yeah, so I think overall the quality of this cabin, even though it's much improved from previous Jaguar models that I tested earlier, I think could still do with further betterment. All right, here's the touchscreen, which is the same thing that I saw from the Land Rover Discovery Sport that I tested not too long ago. The graphics look nice, okay, and the response to hand action is good, it's crisp. We've got a reverse camera, no 360-degree camera. Some people say, at this price point, no 360-degree camera, but for me, that's okay. All right, I can live with just a reverse camera. If they don't have a reverse camera, that's when I'll really ngamuk. But if they still give a reverse camera, I can close one eye to it. All right, this panel here, I've not driven this car under harsh sunlight, but I'm not sure. Will it be glaring under the hot noon sun? This is something to take note of. Here, there's a nice tray here that's rubberized, all right, and you can conveniently put your phone away. There's a 12-volt socket, and here we have the auto start stop button, hill descent control, traction control off. Here's the drive mode selection rocker switch. Very nice touch, feels good. And here you've got two quite well-sized cup holders, I have to say. Under here, another 12-volt socket, two USB ports, and check this out. So I pull this out, but there is this whole large area dedicated to storage, so you can really chuck large objects here and you can stow it out of sight. Okay, inside here there is even more hidden space underneath. And there is it's rubber line, all right, the floor is rubber line, and you can pull it out. Okay, this here you can see here, there's what they call Jaguar prints on this. Maybe presumably you can take this out to clean and then you put back, but even if you take this out and leave it outside, the underside here is all carpeted. It's all carpeted, so the field, so at least this part of it they invested in the perceived quality of the cabin. Okay, yeah. Right, so overall, I would have to say the interior of the Jaguar E-Pace here, design is good, fit and finish is okay, materials, but the overall ambience of this cabin really, I mean, I think Jaguar can do better than this. For at the 400,000 ringgit price tag, they should be doing better than this. It feels solid, but it does not feel special enough for the money.
Thank God that the brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. London boy, but they see where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And if quit it, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was handling my business. Now I got the ball like Harry Potter playing Quidditch. And my business is humongous, you would think that happens in there. Damn man, I'm all that, yeah, I'm all that. Working for that whip, yeah, that what you call that. I'ma blow up in the summer, have them yelling fall back. And I've always been ahead like an effing ball cap. Man, I came in the game like, whoa. Got a couple chains on me cause I like gold. They told me I'm the best and I told them I know. Cause when I'm in your town, every ticket I sold. Yeah, they saying I'm the man. Facts, bro. Lot of haters, tell me where they at though. I'm the new pop, all I do is rap though.
So the Jaguar E-Pace at 400k, it's a tough ask. Okay, no two ways about it. Because you see, you think about it, at 400k, you get this, 490k, you can go to the F-Pace. And even if you walk into the Jaguar showroom looking at, you know, spending 400k on this, on the E-Pace here, I think you would be quite easily persuaded to make that upgrade to the 490k F-Pace that gives you 100 extra horsepower and puts you into a bigger segment car. All right, but if you were to evaluate this entirely on its own merits as a product, there are a few pluses. Firstly, it does have the allure of a Jaguar badge, and whatever you say, when you turn up in a Jaguar, it puts you, the perception of you, all right, is higher than if you were to turn up in a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW in our part of the world. All right, even though in Europe they are probably seen at the same level, but in Malaysia, I think, you know, turning up in a Jaguar portrays you, all right, to be one rung higher than an equivalent Mercedes or BMW on the wealth scale. Okay, and as a status symbol to turn people's head. And the other thing, of course, is that the driving experience, the dynamics of this car, I would say, well, it does have a nice engine. It does have very, very good handling characteristics. As I mentioned earlier, even with distinctly average grip levels from the tires, this chassis gives you a very reassuring feel when you hammer it around the bends. Okay, but where it does fall short, I have to say, is and of course the design is beautiful. All right, it's a very beautifully styled car, very dynamic looking. Certainly, if you are looking at a Porsche Macan and want something slightly smaller, this fits the bill. Now, but the less appealing aspects is that, firstly, this cabin, the design is nice, but this all grey color scheme doesn't do it justice. And I think the quality should be a step higher or two at least in order to justify that 400,000 ringgit price tag. And speaking of that 400,000 ringgit price tag, 200 horsepower on paper, it's still difficult to justify, even though the on-road behavior of this engine is actually not bad. As I said, this engine feels here in the F-Pace much better calibrated than it did in the Land Rover Discovery Sport that I experienced a few weeks ago, a few months ago. Final question: would I buy one of these? Honestly, at 400,000 ringgit, this really is not my cup of tea. Okay, I would top up an extra 40,000 ringgit and go for a BMW X5 PHEV that, well, even though it's just a BMW, I get a straight 6 engine, I get a much bigger car, and no less luxurious a package. Okay guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you find our content useful, greatly appreciate it if you can help us with 2 clicks. Click the like button, click the subscribe button. Don't forget as well to subscribe to the channels of my other Aurizn colleagues, Bobby, Bing, Nas, Chris V, the whole lot of them. Alright, all of them, their channels in the description section below. And yeah, so we are amongst the most active car reviewers in Malaysia, group of car reviewers in Malaysia. We try our best to review all the new cars that come our way. And yeah, so our objective is to be able to give you guys the best buying advice so that you can get the car that best fits your needs at your budget. All right, so if you are buying used cars, if you're in the market for used cars, we can also help you with our network of inspection centers, all right, to give you a detailed health check of your car and for you to decide whether or not that car is worth buying. Okay, if your insurance is about to expire, come renew with Evo Club Insurance and save up to 40% of your next insurance renewal. If your warranty is expiring, extend your warranty with us through Evo Club Extended Warranty for added peace of mind. Okay, and lastly, if you are looking for trusted workshops or mechanics, we've got it for you. Our panel of trusted workshops will provide, well, trustworthy workmanship on your car, so you can service and maintain your cars with any of these workshops with complete peace of mind. Okay, so these are all the benefits that we try to bring to you guys. All you have to do is just to join Evo Club. Go check out club.evomalaysia.com and register yourselves. Membership's free. So once again, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, cheers.